museums. And I'm just wondering, when you approach a museum, do you have a proposal already written with a funding source, or do typically museums already have a funding source when you come with the idea?
All of the above. So it's best to, you have an idea for a project, correct? You find the most appropriate person in the museum to talk to. And you leave your ideas as open as possible. Because if you come to a potential partner with your idea, it's like a recipe and you already know everything about it, and you're a little closed-minded about the project because you have your own vision, that usually doesn't work. What you're hoping for is to bring your ideas and concepts and then seek those assets in the museum and their willingness and their vision for how they could work with you to meet their own needs. So if you come with too much of a prescribed idea, that can be a complete turnoff. When I was working with the College of Nursing and the Morikami to put that partnership together, the first step was just get the parties together who have the obvious assets. Get them together and have lunch or have a conversation. And then from that conversation, it's a what-if conversation. What if we did something together? What would that look like? And that's how the seed was planted. And then it grew. And it grows a lot of time by using the grant application questions as a planning tool. So those questions can be used as a way to plan your project rather than to go in with everything finished and then ask for support. There's very little way that institution can hook in and buy into it. So many times you get fake collaborations and name only, as opposed to deeply created and institutional adoption of a project. And that's what you're seeking. You're not just seeking a letter of support with somebody's name on it. You actually want it to be a cohesive relationship that gets you to the end and meets the needs of multiple investors.
And it's just not also just meeting your needs, but more and more with funding being an issue these days is, if I go to an institution or a potential partner, how can I help them reach their needs through this collaborative project? Because we all need resources, we all need help, and so many times that's a great way of building those partnerships. It's, I can help you look at this, let's develop this vision together, but your mission is going to be enhanced by this project as well.
Exactly, and a good question for them is, how do you see this project meeting your needs? So you can have a better understanding of the benefits that they're going to get out of it that you can't even visualize, right? Because you want to leave the door open. Always try to leave the door open. The only problem with that is called the tail wags the dog. You want to make sure that you're not so open and so agreeable that you lose the mission and vision of your project, but that it can stay within these constraints and everybody gets something out of it, something meaningful. Good question. Other questions about collaboration and grant seeking? Yes?
Yeah, just interesting. Find out one of the slides that we were talking about discussion of money coming either before the
Yes.
any other discussion. That's what the instructor preferred, and that also that we discuss first, and then money issues come later, which was seen as a problem. Now, my question is, what if you find you are in a situation where you have talked about money and nobody seems to be buying into what you are offering or what you are, I don't know how to put it, but essentially it's like people, somebody has already been put off by maybe what you are
Right.
presenting as a stake to him or have them in the institution. How do you deal with that?
So in general, let me just say that money is a charged word. Can we agree on that? And especially in American society, it's a very difficult topic. and people are very afraid of discussing it. The way around it is, once you have the timeline, I can give you several examples of where, depending on when you came into the project, how the money situation worked out. So if you start, the two of you start with a conversation, let's say two partners, right? From the very beginning, from the seed of the idea, okay? Then all options are available. Nobody's coming with something prescribed with a budget, right? You're building the project together, and the first thing you can do is build the activities and the timeline, which is the first thing that I do. And then you build the budget in collaboration with that person. So you're talking with the institution, you're saying, if these are the activities, how are we going to actualize those activities? What expenses are related to these activities? And then which party is going to get the resources to expend that money, correct? But if, let's say you come in later so here's an example of a later. There was a proposal that was written and submitted to the IMLS, and it was declined. And the proposal writers are going to resubmit using the data that they got from the reviewers to improve their proposal. So now they're going to resubmit again. The libraries was contacted, right, to be a partner, a new partner in this resubmission. And we came up with all these ways that we could participate, but they all cost money for our participation. So when we presented our ideas with our budget, then we heard that there was no money for that. There's no more room for new requests, that they already had their project, and if we could participate in one conference to fly up to do a panel, so it was $6,000 or $3,000, something small for 2 years. We said, great, that's great, we still want to participate. But we had the choice there to say, well, if you don't want to, if we can't include our expenses for these other ideas, then we don't want to participate. From our point of view, we were benefiting more by doing less. So it was better for us just to have one person go to a couple conferences than it was to do all of this other work that would partner. So it depends on where you come in the process of developing the project. Good question, excellent question, yes.
On a proposal, like, would the principal investigator be, and that's the question I have, like, if Dr. Professor, he's very well known in the field, would it be better for him to be the principal investigator, or me?
It depends on the proposal. And I think that's a discussion for another time, because the topic today is on collaboration. So, yeah, well, I guess if you're right, okay. So you have to see the purpose of the proposal and whether a student is even permitted to be a PI. So the guidelines will usually dictate whether the PI must be a faculty member or if the PI can be a student. So reading the guidelines and looking at other submissions to see, and talking to the program officer about, in this case, what's the best way to do this. It's usually, the PI usually someone who has a track record, but in some cases that's not true. For fellowships, obviously, it's the student who's applying. Other questions?
Well, I just want to add that collaborations, I think the grant writing process is challenging and takes a lot of time. Developing collaborations is one of the most challenging parts of putting together an effective proposal. And the sooner you are in front of the table or at the table to have those discussions, I think the better, because we all have a lot to give, we all have a lot to gain by those partnerships. But they do take a lot of energy, and you don't want to end up as Mr. Farber says about having those paper partnerships where you're just signing them up so that your proposal is successful, but they're not adding any depth to the actual project and the implementation, because that doesn't do you any good. They're there as a resource for you, you're as a resource for them. And so that cultivation is time consuming and labor intensive, but very, very profitable and very rewarding in a number of different ways if you can pull it off. But starting early is by far the most preferable way of doing that.
Which is a great segue to this next process that we're gonna do. Because, last semester, I didn't do this workshop until March. And the feedback I got from the students was, oh, we wish you had done this at the beginning of the course because there were all these sleeping assets in the room that we didn't know about. We didn't know each other, we didn't know each other's backgrounds or skills or assets, and now we're so excited that at least we met 10 people and now we have a better understanding of who's in the room, and it made the rest of the course more dynamic for them. So that's why we pushed it up. So it kind of goes with this same theme of know your people and have those discussions way ahead of time. If you're thinking about a project right now, you want to start gathering your people, your peeps. You know, you want your peeps with you. That energy and that support, you know, you can't pay for stuff like that. Okay, so are we ready to try to move ahead for the speed meeting? Yes.
Just to comment on that question and follow-up, sometimes well-established people who have a strong reputation also have huge footprint, but are overcommitted. So sometimes it's useful to have an association with a well-established person. Somebody else takes the lead because they're young, still have energy, more energy, and fewer commitments. So the association is important, but it's okay to be a beginner. You don't have to be subservient to the established authority.
Excellent view. And so also something that I'd like to emphasize here, in this dialogue you can see that grantsmanship is gray, okay? I see it as an art form, as a creative place to make things happen, to actualize things that are just in your head. They're just thoughts. When you put them on paper, they become real. When you put financial figures, what's it gonna cost to do this? And what are the assets you're gonna use? It becomes more real as you build it, correct? So think of it as, you know, as an artistic, actualizing, creative process where you're creating something new, and you're looking for energy to fulfill that. And there's no black and white. I mean, there's very little black and white here. You have to follow the guidelines, but within the guidelines, it's gray. So for NSF, it's this way. For NSF, Graduate Research Fellowship programs, it's this way. Are you familiar with, in the Japanese culture, the way of tea, the way of nature, the way of, well, it's the way of. It's just, that's the way it is. Well, that's the way it is in grantsmanship. There's no right, wrong. It's very customized based on the opportunity that you have in front of you. So I did have a discussion with Linda Isaacs, who is the person that you would go to at the Division of Sponsored Research if you were doing and submitting a fellowship project that has to go through the Division of Sponsored Research here at the university. And she said that she's been getting a few students that were told X. You have to do it this way. And when they come to her and she says, no, that's not how you do it, there's an argument. Okay, here's the authority on campus of how to submit fellowship applications to NSF, NIH, etc. And now she's in an argument with a student over the process and the mechanics and what is allowable, what isn't allowable, etc. And the student somehow has this data that they got somewhere in a class, and it could have been a class like this. I say X, they interpret it this way, and then they go and they want to do it. It's not X, it's Y. So just stay open to the possibilities of being incorrect. Stay open to the possibility of learning something new, and you'll be in good shape. As opposed to being indoctrinated that this is the way I have to do it, otherwise I'm going to fail. Okay? So.
Yeah, and when we had a discussion about that the first day of class, there is no true template for grant writing. It's a very gray area, as Bess mentioned, and what we're trying to provide with this class and with this exercise as well, sort of the tools that lead you on that road to success. But as you saw some of those grand examples from the library side, if you went on and looked at those, even proposals that are directed to NSF or one particular funding organization, how the person, the PI approaches, how they put together that proposal, and the arguments they make, and the different components of that are so variable. There is no right or wrong answer. It's how best you think to make that argument. And it's a learning process, it's a creative process, and ultimately you'll get better and better at it as you move along.
Exactly. So this stuff, this exercise we're doing next, the goal is to just imagine yourself. You're going to meet 20 people, 15 people today in the next hour. How long would it take you in real life to meet these people, to have a conversation with them? First, you have to find out when they're available. Then you have to see, okay, where are we going to meet? Are we going to have lunch? Are we going to have food? We're not going to have food. Okay, then you're going to have your travel time to get to that site. Then you have to figure out what you're going to talk about. Are you going to beat around the bush? Are you going to, talk about the weather? Or are you going to talk about research? Okay, the purpose of this 3 minutes that you're going to have is to talk about research and to learn the most you can about the person in front of you. Okay, so you don't have to go through all of this other time. It would mostly take you 12 hours minimum. We're going to do it in an hour. 12 hours to meet 12 people, right? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. You're going to pin the sign on yourself, on your body, without hurting yourself. I hope everyone brought a piece of paper so that you can write down the person who you met. Right, so as you're going through the class today, you're going to write down that I met Andrew Meyer, check him off, okay? Just so you have some idea of who you met, right? You might want to take notes as you go through, but understand it's 3 minutes. So that's the first thing you're going to do is write down the person's name, sorry. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to read the sign. So it should be quiet. Everybody should be reading, but it's never quiet. So please read the sign. Somebody made the effort to write this information. Read the sign. It's not rude. Everybody's going to be reading the sign. So it should be quiet. Focus on the interesting stuff that you see in front of you. Okay, talk about what you see that connects with you and you want to know more about. There's no rules about that. You're just going to talk for 3 minutes. Then I'm going to ring the bell, and I'm going to ask you to move to another party, another person that you haven't met. Please meet people that you don't know, okay? That's the whole purpose today. You can sit down, you can stand up. You don't have to be all bunched together. If you're bunched together, it's going to be hard to hear what you're saying to each other. Please stay in the room. I don't know if we can keep the doors open, but we'll try. It's going to get really noisy in here. If you see the energy goes up. So I see everybody's prepared. Raise your right hand. Wait, we have one that's not prepared. Okay.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
If we have an odd number of students and they can't pair up.
Yes. So yeah, we're getting to that.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. We don't know if there's an odd number. Did you count?
I didn't count.
Okay, I'll give the instructions. Raise your right hand. Repeat with me. I promise to move when Bess rings the bell. Okay, most of you are telling the truth. Because there's something that happens when you start to talk to somebody that's really interesting to you, and that you get the attachment thing. And then I ring the bell, and the person, you're still talking to each other. And so then what happens is everybody else moves, and the two of you don't move. And then you look at me and you say, hello, face. And I have to go and break up 2 other people so that you can now have a new conversation with somebody new because you were attached. Please do not attach yourself to the person that you're talking to in any way, okay? It would just make things more complicated. Is it even?
No.
Okay, so the remaining person, there'll always be a remaining person. and that person can either talk to me or can talk to Dr. Daniels. He won't have a sign, but I'm sure you have enough to figure out what you could talk to him about, right? You wanna do it?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, then you're gonna be tired at the end of this, I just want you to know. Okay, are we ready? Are there any other questions? So, we don't have to do the niceties, okay? You can say hello and then write the name of the person down. And you can say goodbye, you know, you don't have to worry about any of this kind of, you know. And if the bell rings and somebody's talking, one of you can, you know, say, that's it, bye, okay? All right, we ready? So I just want you to know that I really did go home and get my stopwatch. And it will be 33 minutes. And we can stand up and, I'm not sure, push the chairs underneath the desk if we're gonna be standing, but some of you can, okay, find a partner and go.
You need a piece of paper.
Oh, are you missing? Do you have a partner? Okay, you've got Dr. Daniels.
This one there.
Oh,
I know,
who was that
I
one?
lost these thoughts so he can't understand.
Let her know that you're waiting for her.
She came in just a few minutes late.
You have to go and stand next to her.